So what is happening in Israel these days? If you've been listening to our politicians or the mainstream media, you've just been fed a diet of propaganda created by terrorists to incite anti-Semitism, but what is new? We've been told this all started around the Sheikh Jarrah situation. However, it goes back a few months ago, and that's just a sort of calculated, created flashpoint. So let me explain. It's the holy month of Ramadan, which means violence against Jews has increased in the Palestinian territories as Israel is fully vaccinated or near fully vaccinated. So life is getting back to normal, which means Palestinians have time for more terrorism. For the last few months, rockets have been fired at Israelis, and there's been a new trend on social media as Arabs have gone around attacking Jews in Israel, putting it on TikTok for social credit, and widespread violence has increased. So that has resulted in heightened police presence because when people are just being attacked willy-nilly, you need the police to stop them. Now, things have been increasing, but the sort of flashpoint that the media is going to say that started this is Sheikh Jarrah, and it goes with the standard propaganda. Israeli is illegally evicting, blah, 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 blah. And even Jagmeet Singh got on this, right? Jagmeet Singh, this is illegal, and, they're occupying, it's illegal. Okay, what is actually happening in Sheikh Jarrah? In 1875, this land was completely desolate. There was no one there. It was in Jerusalem. So a rabbi purchased the land because the land is very holy, or not holy, it's very significant in Jewish history. There's a famous ancient rabbi buried there, blah, 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 blah. And it was literally empty in 1875. And then when the British took over from the Ottoman Empire, right, in 1946, there actually is validated land deeds to the houses there that were owned by the rabbi. So Jews were living in those homes. Then 1948 happens, and in 1948, the Jordanian army takes over Jerusalem, right? Israel won some parts in the war, the Arab states won other parts. The parts that the Jordanians took over was ethnically cleansed of Jews. All Jews were forced out, all synagogues were destroyed, and again, no one talks about that. So the homes that were owned by this rabbi and Jews, the Jews were then forcibly evicted and Palestinians were moved in there. Then 1967 happens and Israel takes back this land. And the Jews who owned the rights there, it was sold to someone else in the 70s, but the Jews who owned the rights essentially made a claim to the Supreme Court, to the courts essentially, that they own the land. So this was decades of legal court battles and a decision. And what the courts came to a decision is, listen, the Palestinians living there never paid for these homes, never did whatever, but, evictions are wrong, right? You can't just forcibly move someone off the land. So because the families that own this land do own the land, they built the houses, they bought the houses, they own the land, they would be the owners, and, the Palestinians living there would be the tenants. So they would have to pay rent. So people who got free homes, never paid a mortgage, never built the home, living in homes that Jews built, that they were forced out of, the Jewish families that owned them and the people who then they sold it to, they would actually own the homes, you would pay rent. That was the situation. Palestinians refused to pay rent because this is what Palestinians do. Instead of doing something reasonable and finding a coexistence and a middle ground, they realized it's better for propaganda purposes if they're kicked out for never paying rent and then get to go, oh, look, ethnic cleansing, apartheid, right? If you wanted to save Sheikh Jarrah and keep it Palestinian, right, keep it Judenrein. We're all about, peace and social justice, which is why we want the land free of the Jews, right? If you want to do that, then the international community could have just come together, created a rent fund, and paid their rent, which they could afford anyway, but just didn't want to pay it so they could get kicked out, so they could have this whole martyr complex. Then, this is when the media starts paying attention, because it has a good propaganda narrative. Ilhan Omar, Rashad Tlaib, Linda Sarsour, Al Jazeera, they can all get involved and push propaganda, pretending this is what started everything. Oh, look at these poor Palestinians, they're being removed. The Israeli Supreme Court removes, sometimes they rule that, settlements in Judea and Samaria built by Jews are illegal, and the Jews are removed there, and no one cares, right? Sometimes Palestinians illegally build homes. It goes to court. They're ruled to be illegal. They're removed. Everyone screams ethnic cleansing, right? So you're going to get someone on this video commenting, it's really apartheid in Israel, and, there's separate, my favorite one is there's separate roads for Jews and Arabs. That's true. It's unfortunate. In the Palestinian-controlled territories, there are separate roads for Arabs and Jews, but what no one will ever tell you, except me, is that the roads specifically for Arabs are made that way by the Palestinian Authority once they got administrative control after the Oslo Accords. The Jewish roads can be used by everyone. The Arab roads were built by the Arabs and administered by the Arabs, and they specifically bar Jews. There is no place in Israel where Arabs are not allowed to go. There are places in Israel where Jews are not allowed to go. So the Arabs bar Jews from certain areas. It says Arab roads, and then they say, look, apartheid, look what the Jews are doing to us. It's hilarious, but also infuriating. So now you have a situation where the Palestinians, because it's the holy month of Ramadan, and Ramadan is the most peaceful time of the year to cut someone's head off, per Hamas, they started to riot and use the mosque as a staging ground for assaults. That way the Israeli police would have to come in, break up people in the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and they could say, look, they're coming at Al-Aqsa Mosque because this is their number one propaganda point, that the Jews want to demolish Al-Aqsa Mosque, even though when the Jews took Al-Aqsa in the 67 war, they specifically gave it under the control of the Islamic Wafd of Jordan, so they could use this propaganda point. Doesn't matter. Truth doesn't matter to the Palestinians and their activists. Who cares? All right, so there's where we are now. Palestinians are using it for, rockets of peace, lighting off fireworks. They managed to light the mosque on fire recently because they are trying to stage fireworks from there, and it blew up, and they lit their own mosque on fire because it's so holy. Now, my favorite thing is, Ilhan Omar shared a tweet talking about this is a night for peace and prayer, and but the Israelis are throwing flash bombs at the mosque, and blah, 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 blah. Now, I love this, because the clip she actually shows, if you go and watch it on her Twitter, you can see it. It's like the Palestinians are throwing rocks at the police and throwing stuff. So it clearly shows a clash of violence. Can I be in charge of Palestinian propaganda for 15 minutes? Can the Palestinians put me in charge? Why is every time the Palestinian video of, look, we just want peace, it's either a Palestinian whipping a rock and throwing it, or them trying to stab a Jew, and it's like, we just want peace, or they're literally rioting. Guys, shoot one propaganda video. Throw on your terrorist scarves. Sit in a friggin' circle. Play the bongos. Sing a song that isn't Bomb Bomb Tel Aviv. Sing a song that's like peace and love and peace. Da 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 da. We just want love and peace. Ba 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 bum. And use that as your propaganda thing, saying, look at the Palestinians, they just want peace. Right? Because every time you say, look at the Palestinian activists, they just want peace, they're literally screaming, we want to murder Jews while throwing rocks at children. This is, it drives me crazy. Now, the world still buys it because they're idiots, but it's driving me crazy. Can I be in Hamas, call me. Just to make this make more sense. Just give me the propaganda control for 15 to 20 minutes. We'll have everyone play the bongos just once. We just need one bongo shot. Can't do it. Every time it's we just want peace. Death. Okay. So now you have, clashes at the Al-Aqsa Mosque because the Palestinians are using it for staging grounds. You have Hamas is up their rocket attacks on Israel because what they want is no one's covering the fact in the media that rockets are being fired at Jerusalem and Ashkelon and Tel Aviv right now. What they want is the Israelis to then bomb the places that are trying to bomb Israel so they can say, look, the Israelis are murdering everyone. And then we go back to square one. So this is essentially what's happening. To cap it off, you have the Palestinians who have been increasing violence for a long time because Israel's life is getting back to normal. So all the terrorism they couldn't do over the last year, they're getting some terrorism out now. There's a viral trend in the Palestinian territories to film yourself attacking Jews, put it on TikTok for social credit because you want peace. And then this is sort of ramped up, and then you have the evictions of people in Sheikh Jarrah who live on land built by Jewish families, living in their home, were asked to pay rent on a home they never paid rent or mortgage for, and this is completely legal. They went through decades of litigation, they've had every appeal process, and they're just simply refusing to pay rent and then being evicted for that. It's nothing to do with ethnic cleansing or whatever. It's people willfully not paying rent to be used as propaganda tools, and then using allegedly their holy site that's so holy, they're using it as a staging ground for violence so they can film the shots of the Israeli police coming in to take the terrorists of the mosque. There are Hamas flags draped all over the Al-Aqsa Mosque. They're out in the streets saying jihad, 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 bomb Tel Aviv, but no one seems to care in the mainstream media. The Biden administration, the NDP, and now hopefully not the liberals, but the liberals will go around with it and just condemn and be very concerned about Israel's actions and want Israel to stop existing. And if Israel just finds a middle ground between not murdering any Jews and murdering all the Jews, maybe if we just murder 3 million Jews instead of 6 million Jews, this will make everyone happy, blah, 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 blah. And then, life goes on such as normal. So there's all you really need to know about what's happening in Israel these days. I figured, considering there's no one in the media in Canada, even making a remote attempt to tell you what's actually going on, I thought it would be helpful to do so. So that's the video for today. There'll be another video out later on a different platform.